I saw something that blew me away. It's changed not just the way I see Unreal Engine, but animation as a whole. That thing is the trailer for Senua's Saga. Now, I know this isn't new by any standards, but it did leave a lasting impact on me. The demonstration showed what's possible with Unreal Engine and the Metahuman app. It fundamentally changed what I thought was possible to create on your own. The realism, the expression, the intensity, and I had to ask myself, can I make this too? So I decided to try and make my own version, on my own, and I was surprised by the results. But before I show you the final version, let me show you how I made it. First of all, I need a Metahuman character. Now, as good as the Unreal supplied Metahumans are, they are very generic. So I began in Character Creator 4, creating a character loosely based on my face. Very loosely. My goal wasn't to create a digital double, it was to create a character who vaguely had the same face shape and proportions. Vaguely. It seemed like Hollywood was always trying to bridge likenesses, so I figured I might try and do so as well. Once I had that set up, I exported just the head with skin textures set to maximum and brought it into Unreal Engine. So essentially I followed the process of creating a custom Metahuman using a Character Creator 4 mesh. This involved importing a skeletal mesh, creating a new Metahuman identity, then using that skeletal mesh as the basis for the Metahuman, and then processing it. Once that was done, I opened up the Metahuman page and found my new Metahuman identity ready and waiting. Here I applied hair, clothing, and skin textures. Now, the skin textures are going to be replaced later by the Character Creator ones, but you need to add it in the first place, otherwise you can't apply the Character Creator ones. Back in Unreal Engine, I imported the Metahuman and dragged it into the level. Once here, I applied the CC4 skin textures. This was an important step, because now I had higher resolution skin textures on my custom Metahuman. Okay, so the next step was facial mocap. So the first step was to try and write a script loosely fitting the same themes as the video. And once that was done, I could move on. I followed the video by Bad Decision Studios, who have a full video on the process. I highly recommend you watch them to know how to go about it. I would have been lost without it, so big thanks to them. In order to get the best quality video I could, I filmed myself with full bright lights and a cleared forehead, just for that extra bit of quality. So during recording, I had the microphone set up to try and capture the audio at the exact same time. Once all was recorded and brought into Unreal Engine, I was able to apply it onto my custom Metahuman, following the processes outlined in the video. Next up was my favourite part, creating the scene. My mind went absolutely crazy with possibilities here. So I ended up settling on this fab asset I already had, and it had that sci-fi quality that I really like. Once that was downloaded, I began constructing my scene. Now I kind of made this up as I went along. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just really combining things and trying to find something that felt good. I was regularly checking the camera and the viewport and switching between the two, because ultimately it was only going to be seen through the camera. Before long, I also removed the skylight and began placing custom lights throughout the scene. So I was trying to light this as if I were lighting a scene in person. I tried to have the 3 main sources of light, as well as any additional small lights to pick out highlights. I also tried and used colour here to create separation. I was constantly trying to make sure the shot was looking as I wanted it. A big priority was trying to create depth in the frame, to not just have a simple foreground and background, but to try and create layers within that scene. I felt like that made it more lively. A lot of time went into fine-tuning the lights, making sure they picked out the highlights exactly as I wanted them. Once this was completed, it began time to start moving and animating the camera. Another issue I had to solve were the body animations. So for now, a simple idle animation would suffice, but because the head movements and the body movements are so closely intertwined, I feel like it really would have helped the scene having them more integrated together. But I guess that's a note for next time. Once that was done, I then began adding some extra set dressings, just to spice things up. Now this process continued on for a while, and I was really having fun with it. It allowed me to get creative and set the scene exactly as I envisioned it. So I took my time here, finding it as I was working. In reality, this was semi-vision, semi-making it up on the spot. But I really enjoy that as a process. Once my shot was looking as I wanted it, the next step was to run through the animations and fix them as necessary. One of the biggest issues of how I'd done my scene was the eye line. My eyesight wasn't consistent across the camera, so I had to constantly go through frame by frame, making sure I was looking directly at the camera point. This really helped up the realism. It moved it from dead eye to a living person. The other error was small minor facial expressions. Think how like the lips move or small smirks. I just had to correct and try and enhance those where I felt they were particularly necessary to express. I was just trying to enhance them as they were, just to really sell the point across. This was especially necessary for lip movements. And then last, but not least, was to animate the depth of field. So I did this by creating a sphere, assigning it as the depth of field target, and then moving it and animating it across the scene as I wanted the depth of field to move. That really helped in animating the focus movement. And after setting up the settings, I hit export. So after all that work, and having listened to me talk about all that work, here is the final result. I remember when he first came to Earth. I remember how humanity fought back. And I remember what we lost. I saw it all, and let me make this clear. We are not done. So overall, I'm really satisfied with that. I think it was a great first attempt. It's not perfect, but I feel like it's a really good start, and I really want to do more animations going forward. I feel like I've learned a lot in this whole process. So those were the steps I followed in order to create my animation. If you found that helpful, give the video a like and let me know in the comments any other tips you might have. I hope to do more animations in the future and more process breakdowns as well. If you're keen to see those, subscribe so you can see them as they come out. Until then, thank you for watching, goodbye.